Can particles communicate faster than light? Let's explore quantum entanglement and instantaneous connections in this lovely section on the EPR paradox. So this is in our last chapter of the book, chapter 12, and now we get to deal with the more philosophical approach of quantum mechanics and what it means, not just how to do it, as the authors write in the book. So this problem is dealing with entangled states. And they say that in the singlet configuration, equation 12.1, this is a classical example of an entangled state, a two-particle state that cannot be expressed as a product of two one-particle states, and for which, therefore, one cannot really speak of the state of either particle separately. Now, you might wonder whether this is somehow an artifact of bad notation. Maybe some linear combination of one-particle states would disentangle the system. So with that, we are supposed to prove the following theorem. Consider a two-level system psi A, psi B with the orthonormality condition. For example, psi A might represent spin up, psi B or phi B might represent spin down. The two-particle state is a linear combination of the two, where alpha and beta are not zero, and this cannot be expressed as a product of psi R, psi S. So phi's up here, psi's down here, for any one-particle states. And the hint they give us is the size is a linear combination of phi's. Okay, a couple things to note here. The product of two one-particle states is coming up soon, and then of course this footnote will be referenced later. So overall, we're showing that this idea of entanglement has to be there. So that's why we care. This concept of entangled states. Okay. Now, many have probably heard about the spooky accident at a distance from Einstein's claim, and this is kind of where the whole argument started from and where the two papers on the introduction were arguing about and why these things were so argued in the 1930s. Now, the challenge for everybody is, what does this say about the nature of quantum mechanics? In the EPR paper, they argued that it was incomplete description of reality by their criterion, but then Bohr came and rebutted, and then of course you had a Schrödinger rebuttal in the same line of thinking. So the big question here still is, what do we make of all this? Okay, now this is a pretty hefty problem, but pretty much everything's in the video. But if you want the PDF for your files, feel free to download it from the Patreon page or comment and I can send you the link directly to it. That being said, before we jump into today's topic, you should know my goal is to break down complex physics concepts using exercises from these top books. If this sounds like something you'd enjoy, hit the subscribe button and join us in exploring the universe. Now, let's see what this entanglement's all about. Alright, so in step 1, we have a lot of setup work to do, so let's just take it part by part. To demonstrate that the given two-particle state cannot be expressed as a product of one-particle states, we begin by assuming that the state is separable. So psi of 1 and 2 can be separated, because this is the conjoined state, the entangled state, into R and S, okay? That's the assumption. And we're going to prove that this is a contradiction, but now that we have the assumption, we can go ahead and work with it. And since the phi A, phi B form a complete set of one-particle states in a two-level system, we can express the size as a linear combination of these basis states. And following this approach with the hint, we write, well, if the R is over here, we write some coefficient RA for phi A and RB for phi B. Similarly over here, SA phi A, SB phi B. Pretty cool there. And of course, we run the notation here such that all the coefficients are complex coefficients, so they belong in C. This representation allows us to analyze the separability of the two-particle state in terms of its constituent one-particle states. So let's see if this holds up. So knowing that we want it separable and that we have a product or a linear combination for psi R and psi S, of state 1, state 2 independently, we now need to expand the product and get all the different combinations. Okay, so we have AA with 1, 2, AB with 1, 2, and BA with 1, 2, and then BB with 1, 2. So all the different types of distributions you could have, we have in this product expansion. So what we also need to do is look back at what the linear combination was in the question itself. So compare this to the given two-particle state where you have some coefficient alpha with A1, B2, and then some coefficient beta with B1, A2. So A and 1 and 2, the A, B, and 1, 2, they switch throughout this whole thing. It's a lot to keep track of, so definitely be very patient with this. That being said, let me know what you think about this, because the setup is the hardest part of this so far. So drop a comment below with your thoughts. And then from there, given that the orthonormal bases of a two-level system here, which was given to us, we could take the inner products from each of these bases pairs that we see here, this, and go ahead and find out what could possibly be the coefficients for each of them. All right, so keeping this in a list, taking the inner product with A1, B2, just because that was the first one given to us in that linear combination from the question, we see that with the orthonormal bases, we get B acting on the state 2 acting on the state 2 over here, state 1 acting on state 1 here. So in the PDF, you have all this written out in long listing form, but really what we need to know is that state 1, the orthonormal bases match, so we're good. State 2, they did not, so that goes to 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, all the way through. So with our product that we define, we end up with coefficients RA, SB. Similarly, for their product or their linear combination, we see that we only get alpha here. So if these two things are to be equivalent, we must have RASB equal alpha. Similarly, taking the A1, A2 in a product, we get the same thing, run it through the gauntlet. You get RASA as you would expect because it's A and A. And then here, you notice that the linear combination with alpha and beta did not have any AA terms for 1 or 2. Therefore, the inner product was 0, and we see that there. For equivalence, we need these two things to match. All right, so now when we look at this, we see that, again, we need to take the inner product with B1, A2 instead of A1, B2. So just as you would expect, now the only product or the inner product that survives from our product that we made comes from the form of BA. Makes sense? B for state 1, A for state 2. Makes sense. Similarly, for the linear combination with alpha beta, we only get a beta term to survive, so for equivalence, these two things must match. Last, we need B1 and B2. Run that through. The only terms that survive are the last ones, and there's no terms that survive here. So for equivalence, we need B1 or B, RB and SB to be equal. Pretty gross stuff so far and a lot of maneuvering, so let's just summarize this in the next slide. Okay, so admittedly, instead of taking the inner products and doing all that work, we could have just done this from an inspection of the two equations thanks to that orthonormality condition. So if we just compare the coefficients on the phi A for state 1 and 2 terms, we get the same result. RASA needs to equal 0. Coefficients for A1, B2, we get A, B equals alpha. Makes sense. B1, A2, RB, SA equals beta. So you see the switching pairs going here. Makes sense. Last but not least, we see that SB needs to equal 0 as well. So all of that coming together, we now have our summary table, but this only works thanks to the orthonormality. So we have our setup now, and now we can actually get into the fun of the question without all the baggage of all the algebra and setup work. Now, the whole point here is that these coefficients and equivalent statements are going to lead us to a contradiction to what was given in a theorem. Okay, so from this inspection summary, equation 1 tells us here, this one right here, tells us that for this product to be 0, either RA needs to be 0 or SA needs to be 0. There is no way around it. So because of that, if we do this assumption by assumption, if RA equals 0, then from our second equation here, this tells us that alpha has to equal 0 when we run it through. Alpha equals RA SB, so 0 times SB, that's 0. But in the original assumption of the theorem, they stated that alpha and beta can't be 0. So if alpha equals 0 here, we run into a contradiction. So this can't be the case. Let's try it for SA. Similarly, if SA equals 0, then we see from 3, beta would also equal 0 once we plug it in. This is also a contradiction to the given assumption. So neither of these can possibly be a solution. Similarly, for equation 4 out of the inspection table, RB equals 0 or SB equals 0. One of the two has to be the truth there. But if RB equals 0, then we see that beta once again finds its way to 0, contradiction. If SB equals 0, then the alpha term finds its way to 0 from substitution again, once again a contradiction. Now, finally, what if we had the case where we had, from 1 and 4, where RA equals RB, which is 0? Then we see that the linear combination of the separable state gives us a 0 vector. That can't be there because it's not normalizable. Then similarly for SA and SB, that would also lead to a 0 vector, which again is not normalizable. So neither of these 0 vectors are going to be allowed because psi r or psi b is a 0 vector and that's not a valid state. So all of this coming together, we have just proven that this is the proof for entangled states. So therefore, we know that especially with the two particle states, they cannot be expressed as a product of one particle states. And this theorem demonstrates that the states are indeed entangled. And that is wild and it's not classical. It does not make common sense. How is it that we have this idea of spooky action at a distance? The only thing that makes it make sense is that it is an intrinsic property of the quantum state itself. And that's something that in the 1930s was hurting people's heads left, right, up, and down, and all the possible superposition of head twisting. Okay. Now, one of the things that came up that I was not aware of, but I'm glad that reading through the footnotes in this book, the authors put this paper in there. Entanglement isn't just for spin, and this is normally where we see it, right? So we see that if I have a particle that's spin up and they're in a pair and a state pair, then I know my other particle is spin down based on one measurement. But this isn't just the only application of entanglement. In this paper by Schroeder, one of the authors of the new edition, actually has a whole list of things and misconceptions based on this artifact of the entanglement theory. So it's very cool to have. I would read it over because it's, again, being written in 2017, the typeset and the pictures and graphing is a lot better, and he does a really good job of working through it all. So definitely a good read if you have time. I believe you can find it on the American Journal of Physics and just download the DOI from there. But nonetheless, if you have problems or if you want this one, feel free. I'll email it out. Not a problem. Just let me know. Okay, so with chapter 12 now commencing, this is going to be sporadic, crazy, and a whole lot of fun, a whole lot of brain twists, and a whole lot of things to get used to. So definitely be patient with it for yourself mainly, because this thing is not at all self-evident. That being said, if this video got you thinking, imagine what's coming next. Subscribe and join our community for weekly insights into the world of physics. There's so much more to uncover, and I'd love to have you along the way for the journey. I also want to take a second here to thank my incredible Patreon supporters. Your support is truly the backbone of this channel. It's because of you that I'm able to keep creating these videos and diving deep into the fascinating world of physics with everyone. Your contributions make a real difference in helping me bring these concepts to life, and I'm so grateful to each of you for believing in this journey. If anyone else is interested in supporting the channel and joining our Patreon community, join our Patreon community. You can check in the link below in the description. Together we can keep exploring the wonders.